Getting a second look. Um, I know that there have been criticisms of it in the past because of either how layer twos and layer ones interact or just really sort of progress and upgrades to the network. But to us, I think the real thing we have to as recognize as we look at what's happening in the real world is that Wall Street is converging onto crypto and they're choosing to do a lot of this work on Ethereum because stablecoins have completely changed Wall Street's mind about how useful crypto can be. As we've said, the stablecoins have created the chat GPT moment for crypto because we're seeing consumers really use it in a viral way. Merchants are beginning to really love it, especially outside the US. And now banks are realizing it's actually a decent business model. We just saw Citigroup even just say that they're looking at creating a stablecoin, even if it's just to manage deposit base, but still it is really Wall Street converging onto crypto. And at the end of the day, a couple things are going to be important. Wall Street wants to find a chain that's operating compliantly in the US, and they want to find a big one and where there's already a lot of real world assets, tied up and on the layer. Different than when ChatGPT first swept across Silicon Valley. And this is after everybody had invested decades on SaaS. But guess what? Now there's many, many, many venture funded businesses around using AI and ChatGPT that are exploding and getting to $100 million run rate so quickly. Well, I think that's what's going to happen in crypto. I think this is a really big moment for the industry to realize that as Wall Street converges and they're bringing a lot of interest and bringing a lot of new users and a lot of new applications, that this could transform actually the importance of smart contracts and Ethereum. So I think Ethereum's sort of dominance could actually grow dramatically.
Everyone's talking about price this week. I think last I looked, ETH was up over 10%. What's your price target for ETH as we head into the second half of the year?
Our price objectives at Fundstrat. So I wear a couple of hats. I'm the chairman of BitMine, but I'm also the head of research at Fundstrat. If Sean Farrell's math is correct, then I think 10 to 15,000 actually makes sense too.
By the end of the year?
It could be end of year, it could be sooner. I mean, it just really depends. But that wouldn't be the cap, but that just shows you that's really, a level above 5,000, it would be a decisive, all-time breakout for Ethereum. So I think that's a significant level to watch as well.
Midnight is a privacy-enhancing blockchain, introducing vital, programmable privacy and selective disclosure capabilities. It means dApps can allow users to control what information is revealed without putting sensitive data on-chain, allowing you to break free from the limitation of choosing between utility or privacy. We deserve more when it comes to privacy. Experience the next generation of blockchain that is private and inclusive by design. Break free with Midnight. Visit midnight.network/breakfree.
I want you to put your BitMine hat on for just a second. I know I mentioned at the top of the interview, you're the chairman of the board there. And BitMine has really taken on the Ethereum treasury strategy. I was going to say following in SharpLink's footsteps.
And their treasury strategy, Bitcoin was 11,000 and it's 120,000 today. And so I think that's foremost where we're coming from. And some people say, well, why don't you just buy Ethereum outright? Well, an Ethereum treasury company can actually increase your ETH holdings per share by taking advantage of capital markets and volatility to raise capital. And they can also earn money from staking. And for instance, BitMine initially funded with $250 million of ETH. And that was closed on July 9th. Or July 8th. And then 3 days later, BitMine increased the treasury holdings by an additional 250 million. So in just 3 days, doubled the amount of treasury holdings. And that was as of Friday last week. So you can see that there is an advantage to a treasury company because what you thought you had was of ETH relative per share just doubled in 3 days based on just the company acquiring more ETH. And really the ultimate form of trust at the moment, and it is digital gold in an easy way. And if someone says, well, what does that make it worth? Well, gold's 22 trillion network value, so Bitcoin should be worth $1 million. And there's plenty of future businesses that can be built around Bitcoin because of its, stability. Ethereum is a smart contract enabled platform, and so it is unique because you can actually store real things onto the blockchain. Whether you use layer 1 or layer 2, and I think maybe the real killer app, and this is what stablecoins are showing, is that as we move into a world of like AI and we're trying to create, units of pricing and to simplify the movement of goods and things, simple examples of like tokenizing things from the real world onto a blockchain, you couldn't do it really on Bitcoin. Easing, then we should see it in crypto prices first. And that's why crypto actually is a leading indicator for the stock market. And the fact that Bitcoin broke out to all-time highs is actually bullish for the S&P. But the interesting thing is that crypto is still not that widely held. So I think that, Bitwise has a great stat. They say 95% of Bitcoin's been mined, and, only 95% of the traditional finance world doesn't own Bitcoin. So there's a real mismatch. And so I think Bitcoin continues to be the leading crypto asset to watch. But to us, as risk appetite recovers, Ethereum and small caps are pretty highly correlated. And I think that that's why Ethereum, in percentage terms, has more upside for the next few years.
Now we're wrapping up the week here. We've been talking all about crypto. It's crypto week in Congress. There are 3 bills on the docket. Talk to me. Most are saying
whatever happens out of Washington.
Is there anything that you've been closely watching this week that I haven't asked you about? I know Bitcoin and ETH have been the real standouts in the headlines, but is there anything that you've been watching that you wish someone would ask you about, or that you think is quite interesting that not enough people are talking about?
Well, I've been paying a lot of attention to earning. We're in the middle of earnings seasons, and financials start to report in earnest. This week and next week, but there have been a lot of comments from these financials about stable coins, and their stable coins are frenemies for the financial industry. So I think that's just something people have to watch out for, because they are both a opportunity, but it's also a threat to their legacy business. So you have to keep in mind that in some ways, the financial industry is one of the strongest and savviest lobbying groups, that they have a role in. Simple analogy, and then we can think about how it applies to the financial sector. But let's take social media and Facebook. And let's say Facebook was the cash cow for Facebook, which it is for Meta. But then came along Instagram, which was a very different way for people to interact. And then TikTok came along. And as you know, TikTok completely caught Meta by surprise. And if Meta had only invested in Facebook, the company would be a dwindling business. But they, of course, correctly made the pivot both to WhatsApp, Instagram, and then to TikTok, with Reels, etc. Well, in financial, 3% for being in the middle of a merchant transaction. These numbers drop dramatically in a digital world where trust is established through the actual blockchain itself. So that's what.
Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and enabling post notifications for more content on crypto and digital assets. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps with the YouTube algorithm and keeps the